So hi everyone, thank you for being a part of this presentation and for giving me some of your time and undivided attention today. I'm going to start just by talking a little bit about improvisation in the workplace. I'm not going to make you do any sort of scene work or anything crazy like that, but I'm going to spend some time talking about how using an improvisation mindset or the rules of improv and putting them towards work can actually increase your productivity, your happiness, your overall demeanor at work, along with everyone else's around you. Overall growth in communication and listening and learning is all due to the things that I've learned while improvising. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brad. I'm a product manager at Koddi. I'm also an improviser, and I've been improvising for about 14 years, starting back in 2005. It was right around that time I was doing retail and decided that, this isn't really taking me anywhere. It's time that I stop doing this nonsense and follow my real passion and become an actor. Well, for those of you around, you know how that story ends, and it didn't pan out, but that's okay. A lot of great things happen because of it. So right around 2005, they moved the Second City, Detroit, from downtown Detroit to downtown Novi. Terrible business move for the Second City. Fantastic move for a young Brad Hicks. So I signed up to be a part of the Second City Training Center to hopefully get my foot implanted in the right direction, along with a lot of those who have graduated from the Second City and left their doors to find greatness, like Tina Fey, Bill Murray, Chris Farley, just to name a few of the talented people that have left that institution. So I went to the training center and learned all about the fundamentals of improvisation. And I liked it so much that I went back and did their conservatory program, which is like their master's program of improvisation, where I learned more long form and a refining of those skills. And graduated the conservatory program and then just started doing shows. I did a couple of writing shows at the Second City and then just started doing improv shows once the Second City closed its doors. I performed at the Improv Inferno in Ann Arbor and a couple of shows like Rap Attack, which is an improvised rap battle. Yeah, I rap. What's up? I've performed with groups from Chicago and LA. I've been very lucky in that respect. I performed at the Planet Ant Theater, which is another just haven of talent. People like Keegan-Michael Key from Key and Peele have come out of there. Mark Evan Jackson from Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Good Place. Tim Robinson from Saturday Night Live, just to name a few. And lately I've been performing at Go Comedy in Ferndale. And I was lucky enough to have some of my fellow employees come and watch me not too long ago, so that was a fun surprise. Yes, what you are looking at is my very first acting headshot. Yes, I am wearing way too many layers, and yes, my hair is an absolute abomination. And I will pause so Grumpy can get a good shot of this photo to share on social media at my expense. Great, now let's get rid of that slide. There's a lot of perception that happens when you talk to people who aren't improvisers about improv. And one of them is that this is what we do. We tell jokes for a living. We don't. We don't write anything. We're not just up there doing jokes. And, we're creating more of an experience than we are just out there to make you laugh with one-liners. Dane Cook's career was probably just like an improv set, here and gone before you knew it. Poor guy. Other perception is that we're this. You're closer to the truth, but while these guys are doing improvisation, they're doing short-form improvisation over a long period of time. The benefit these guys have is that they're doing a TV show, so they can take a suggestion, do tons of bits, and then they rely on an editor to go through and chop up all their bits to their very best work, which isn't really the core of improv. So these guys aren't really doing what we would consider to be fundamentally improvisation. calm down, Wayne Brady. You are a very talented improviser. I'm just saying that in that show format, what you're doing is not really the principles of what I'm about to talk about. Wayne Brady. Other people think, I can't do improv. I'm not funny. Great. Then we would love for you to do improv. Because if there are people out there that are trying to be funny, 90% of the people they're playing with can't stand them. The core of improv, all you're doing is making up something based on nothing. So you go out with nothing and you create something together. Nowhere in that is the same thing about being funny. So it's 0% being funny. But it is a host of other things. A quarter of you needs to be present at all times, listening to the audience, listening to your scene partner, reacting to things going around you. Another quarter is saying yes and, or living yes and in the scene, which is agreeing with what your scene partners are saying and then adding to it. So you're constantly stacking the blocks up of this experience that you guys are making together. 25% is actively listening. You're going to miss a whole lot if you're not actively listening. Those blocks that we just talked about, you're going to pretend like those aren't there. You're going to be lost in the scene, and your other scene partners are going to have to struggle to pull you back up because you weren't listening. You were too busy thinking about who you're supposed to be. Another quarter is reacting honestly. Someone says something to you in the scene or something happens in the scene. The more honest your reaction, the more relatable you are to the audience. And that's where you want that laughter to come from. You want that laughter to come from a place of agreement, not just a place of you being ridiculous. Because your ridiculousness could kill the support of your other scene partners. You also might think, it's just not for me. Like, I'm not sharp enough, I'm not quick enough. Then who's it for? Well, it's basically for anybody who wants to sharpen their communication skills, anybody who ever takes a client-facing meeting or has to present to people in public, anyone who wants to be more confident when they speak in public, people that want to be a part of special projects or innovations but are too afraid to raise their hand because they're anxious. Anyone whose job it is to listen to anybody, an employee, a client, anybody. Anyone who's in creative or design. Sales, believe it or not, even though some of y'all be super crazy already, this can be greatly beneficial to those people in sales. And anyone who has to collaborate with anyone else. So it's for anyone and everyone. There's no buy-in to this. You don't need any special equipment. You don't need any special training. All you need to be is you. And you can start doing improv and using an improv mindset and the guidelines of improv to better yourself. So what's the reality? Tina Fey's life is improvisation, and she couldn't be more right. Think about it. Up to this moment today, you've had zero script for anything that you've had to do. If you've had doctor's appointments, if you've had early meetings, if you just met somebody at the coffee machine or the fridge, all of your dialogue wasn't pre-written for you. You came up with it all on the spot. And you've been doing that your entire life. So you're already an improviser. You just don't know it, nor have you honed the skills that you have already at your disposal. Now, if you use that and you think about that, that makes it a little less frightening to start doing something that you've already been doing 20 some odd years of your life. Why? Why should I do improv? Why should I go take a class? Why should I even bring it to work? Those are all valid questions that I'm hoping to answer. When you take an improv mindset to work, you look at your team as an ensemble and you embrace the ensemble aspect of it. While you're in that ensemble, you celebrate active listening, so there's more collaborative and constructive feedback. You breed a culture of yes and, which is agreement and building on ideas. And you allow for responsible risk, which is allowing people to feel free and open with their ideas without fear of being told that they're stupid or it's a dumb idea or that it has no merit. Basically, all these things tie together just help get you out of your head, which is the key thing that any improviser wants once they hit that stage. If you can't get yourself out of your head when you're on the stage, you're going to be inside your head wondering who you are, where you are, and what you should be saying the entire time. And that's going to do a disservice to all of your scene partners because you're not listening to them explain where you are, give you the gifts of who you are or your relationship to them. The most core things that allow all of you to build something amazing together. So let's break these down one at a time. Embracing the ensemble. The improv rule, and one of the first things that you're taught in improv, is when you step on this stage with partners, with cast members, your job is to take care of them always. And their job is to take care of you. You never let any of them fail. And their job is to not let you fail. Before every improviser walks onto a stage, the very last thing that they do when the green room lights go off is they tap each other on the back lightly and they say to each other, I got your back. You look each other in the eyes and say, I got your back. It's just a reminder to your castmates that you're there for them and a reminder to you that they're there for you. So how do you bring this into work and what does it mean for work? Well, in improv, we're always thinking of everything as an ensemble cast. And we look at things as if we all rise to the occasion, then we all rise. If we justify everyone's actions, there are no mistakes. So working together as an ensemble gives us that collaborative mindset that we're all in it together. No one is above anybody else. Nobody has a better idea than anybody else. But teamwork, where we normally think of ourselves in an organization, in a team, has more of a competitive nature. It means there has to be a winner and a loser. There has to be a coach and a star player. And then every underling under that just trying to figure out how to get to that tier of success. It puts us back in our heads and allows us to not do our best work because we're too busy focusing on what others are thinking about us, as opposed to knowing that they're there to support us. Listening actively. Kristen Wiig says, improv is a combination of listening and trying to not be funny. Couldn't have said it better myself. Listening is one of the three major things that they'll talk to you about outside of support and yes and in improv. Why? Because we believe that your scene partner is always providing you with gifts. They might not even realize it when they're saying it, but the things that they're giving to you in their dialogue are gifts. It tells you who they are, where you are, who you are to them, and where they want to go, or what their needs are. And if you listen to those gifts, you're able to react better towards them and move your scene forward and add more deliberate gifts for them as the scene goes on. Therefore, taking you guys down a path that not only delights the two of you, or the four of you, or however many there are of you, but delights the audience along the way. When done right and listening correctly, improv's magic to audiences. But what does this mean for work? It's a reminder that no one has the entire solution all the time. Someone might have the beginning, the idea. Someone might have an idea of the execution. And then someone might have an idea of enhancements that could be made afterwards. But no one person has all of that at their disposal. So if you embrace the idea that you're not going to have the full flushed out answer, which I have to 100% of the time in my job because I never have the right answer, then you're more open to that give and take with all of your other, ensemble mates, all of your other meeting participants, everyone else who's in the project. If you're open to that give and take, you can explore more possibilities, stronger solutions, greater ideas. And listening is the key piece of moving forward. Deploying yes and. The crux of learning improv is literally doing scenes where all your dialogue starts with the words yes and and. And it's not to give you anything to fall back on like a script. It's to give you the idea of you have to agree and add something. So your scene partner says something and you agree, and then you put one more thing on top of it to allow them to grow in the scene. There's nothing that kills an improv scene faster than the word no. No and questions are the two things that just destroy any improv scene. And think about it in your day-to-day life. If you came up with this super great idea that you were very fired up about, and you just were so anxious, but you were so excited about it, and you finally told somebody, and their idea was, there's no way in hell we can do that. Well, not only do I feel like a total jackass for bringing it up, I feel dumb, and I feel like I never want to do it again. The use of no closes all collaboration off. But if you use agreement and say, yeah, I see where your vision is. And maybe it's not this particular route, but what if we took these things and moved them over here? That feedback sounds so much better than just, no, we can't do it. And maybe it doesn't have to be right now. But if you use this idea when you're providing feedback or you're working collaboratively, you'll find that you get to an end goal so much faster than saying, we can't do that. No, that's not going to work. Martin DeMatt, the artistic director of the Second City, says the fun is always on the other side of a yes. And that's 100% true, not even in this particular example. But just the idea of challenging yourself to take on something brand new that you might be a little apprehensive about, I guarantee you'll discover new things about yourself if you just agree to it and try. And allowing for responsible risk. Improv also teaches us that if you go out and you totally shit the bed, it's going to happen. But it's okay. As long as you go out and you make bold choices, and you give it all that you have. Sometimes the audience isn't going to grasp onto what you're doing. Sometimes you and your scene partner won't have the correct chemistry or focus. But it doesn't matter as long as you go out and you believe what you're doing is the best possible version of your work. If you try to innovate, you try to invent scenarios, you try to bring the character out. Kelly Leonard, the EVP of the Second City, says a bad idea is just a bridge to a better idea. Which means that failure's fine. It's just a stepping stone to something else. A bad idea is still an idea and still has merit. It might not be right in the beginning stages of its execution, but there's probably always a little piece of it that's onto something. And the more that we're open to looking for those possibilities, and the more that we allow others to bring in feedback and possibilities for that possibility, the options are really endless. In a world where we're trying to not only sustain our business, but innovate on top of it, allowing people to take responsible risks helps breed innovations because it allows people to bring those ideas and those innovations to the table without fear, without anxiety, and without thinking, people are going to think I'm just dumb. Now, you can't just take those things and put them on a stage and be great. And you can't just take these ideas and roll them into your work life and think, I'm going to crush it. You can't just go to a client meeting with nothing and be like, watch, I'm going to win these guys over. No. So there's other tips and tricks and tactics that improvisers use to make sure that they're ready for shows. One is having a strong reference level. When I was in the Second City, they would always tell you, consume as much pop culture as possible. And the reason for that is we take suggestions every time we start an improv show. Suggestions on what our scenes should be about, suggestions on what our games are going to be, things like that. And if there's two of you standing on the stage and you go, give me a suggestion, and someone shouts out something you've never heard of before, you're instantly going to go into your head. And neither of you are going to do anything. And that's the worst place to be. So for work, think of this as knowing as much as you possibly can about what you're about to talk about. Know as much about the product that you're about to sell. Know as much about the people that you're about to talk to as you can. Put time in to understanding and providing value for the people on the other end of the phone. In this case, that would be the audience. Defending the line is very, very, very important for improvisers. We play a lot of games where we have a back line. And we'll take a suggestion, and one at a time, improvisers will walk down stage and deliver lines based on that suggestion. But there will be a time when someone gets a suggestion and nobody will walk down. That's your cue to walk down. Why? Because you always want to ensure that you're giving the audience what they paid for. And what they paid for isn't just to watch you stand back there. And you want to make sure that your ensemble cast is supported. Don't let them fail. And you may walk out and have nothing. But the idea in improv is if you walk out with nothing, you sell it like you have everything. You sell it like it's the best joke you're about to tell, like it's the best bit you have, like it's the greatest idea that ever entered your mind. Because 80% of what the audience is going to jive with is your confidence. And even if they don't get it, even if it bombs totally, someone will laugh. I guarantee it. Same thing here. If you're in a client meeting and there's a question raised and everyone sits silently, you know how bad that looks to a client? And you don't have to jump in with a totally unfeasible answer. All you have to do is jump in and say something. That's a great question. We haven't really thought about that on our end, but I think we should definitely take a look into it. Anybody else have thoughts on that? Something like that. And lastly, and most importantly, know your audience. Back to the reference level piece, if you know who you're talking to, you could better tailor what you're about to say. And if you don't know, just look for cues as you're talking to them. They'll tell you what they want. Do they want a lighthearted, jovial, casual conversation, or do they want you to be business and buttoned up? And as you keep going through whatever it is that you're selling, or you're talking about, or you're explaining, tailor yourself for that audience. You have a much better outcome. If we do all these things, we can create super successful Kodiaks who foster a yes and culture of positivity and confidence, who can effectively communicate because of trust and support, who are happy creating because of the collaboration and the engagement the environment provides them. Personable, engaging, knowledgeable sellers who can inform greatly or listen intently to figure out what their clients need. New innovations can be brought to life because no one's afraid of failing. A removal of fear based on all the unknowns of what we could possibly be building. And then leadership decisions that are made with facts and emotional vulnerability. Because not only are we trying to hit our business directives, but we're trying to ensure that our people directives are on point by listening. If we do all this, we can definitely get the experience right. Together. So how? For those of you who are really out there and excitable and open and extroverts, you could play games. Play games with your team, you can play games at home with your significant other. We can do games at the company offsite for all I care. These are simple games that just kind of breed that ensemble, that listening piece. Simple games like one word story, where 5 to 10 people form a back line and then one at a time write a story from nothing. You get the title of a story and then one at a time, one word at a time, it goes down the line and then repeats and then repeats and then repeats until the end. The beauty of this exercise is it shows the power of every single word that's used. So there's big, bold descriptor words, but then there's like the little uhs and thes and bees. And those things, they influence where we're going next. In our day-to-day lives, you never think about that, but that's showing the power of those words in this game. There's a game called Thankful where two people have a scene and every single line that they start with each other has to start with thank you. It's just a reminder that everything that's being said to you is a gift. Everything is helping you paint the world around you, helping inform your next decision, helping inform your next choice, helping inform the next iteration of a product. It's a reminder that everything that's happening around us in our collaboration is a gift, and we should be thankful for those gifts. And one of my favorites, Follow the Follower. I remember playing this at Second City, where we'd have a big circle, and we'd pick one person to put in the center of that circle. And that person would close their eyes, and the outside of the circle would choose a leader. And then the person in the center would reopen their eyes, and the leader would start doing a movement, and everyone else in the circle would have to mimic that movement. It was the job of the person in the center to figure out who the actual leader was. But the beauty is, as that game happens, anyone can become the leader. Because the entire outside of the circle is just trying to do the exact same movement. So if anybody changes the movement, everybody changes the movement. It's a good exercise in mimicking, supporting, and that knowing that leadership doesn't have a specific look, feel, place. It could be anyone at any time. Leadership isn't just saying, I'm the leader, so follow me, I'm the boss. No, it's the person who has the right idea at the right time to make the next decision. And that changes as people collaborate and projects evolve. And this makes us more open to it. You could take classes and workshops if you're kind of an extrovert, but like don't want to bring it to work yet. There's places all around our offices that you can go to check out improv and get your feet wet. In Fort Worth, there's 4-day weekend. They do classes, workshops, and a free play. In Ann Arbor, you can go to the Pointless Improv Theater for classes and workshops. Go Comedy, where I perform. You can do classes, workshops, and they have an open jam every Sunday. And if this sounds like fun to you, go to an open jam somewhere. You just sign up. They'll pull you on the stage to do a game with a bunch of seasoned improvisers, and you can feel how that support structure works. Where you're brand new, but these improvisers, their job is just to make you look good. Because nobody wants you to be on the stage and feel foolish, because then you won't ever want to come back. In New York, there's the People's Improv Theater, The Pit. There's classes, workshops, and an open jam. One of my good friends, James Quesada, works out there. So if you could drop in, tell him I said hi. And then Amy Poehler's institution of improv, the Upright Citizens Brigade. All of these things are at your disposal. Go see a show. Go take a class. It's a couple $100 buy-in. See what you think. See if it helps you grow. If you're a total introvert, don't want to really be out with people, there's a host of books that you can look at. Truth in Comedy is pretty much the Bible of improv. And it reminds us that the connection with the audience is based on an agreement, not based on you being ridiculous. One of the greatest quotes in it is, you should always assume that the audience is one step ahead of you. They always are understanding where you're going before you are, because they're observing what you're creating. And like I said before, if everyone justifies everyone else's actions, there are no mistakes. Imagine if there were no mistakes in your day-to-day work. How good you'd feel. If you want to get more into improvising for work and using that improv mindset for work, there's Get Into Yes And by Bob Kulan. It says the tenets of improvisation can help you, help yourself, help your team, your department, and your entire company to succeed beyond what you think you're capable of. And then there's Do Improvise by Robert Poynton. Improvisation demonstrates that you can have order without having control, just like nature does. You don't always need control for things to go right. You just need to be working towards a common goal. And all these books are probably like $20 or less. So, I saved you at least $15 on lunch today. So put maybe that $15 towards one of these things. See what you think. So let's recap really quick. An improv mindset is not about being funny, stealing focus from others, negating your scene partners or team members or meeting participants. It's not about that. It's not about overthinking or adhering to the norm of things. What it is about being present, listening to others around you, and speaking with intent, not just speaking to speak. It's about supporting your ensemble and your cast members so that everybody is performing at the same level to provide an excellent experience for your audience. It's about getting out of your head to take yourself places that you've never thought possible. By making bold choices, embracing the fact that at some point you're going to fail, and then creating just by using what you have at your disposal. But the biggest thing that you can do with all of this stuff that we've talked about, and the most important thing that you can do, is get rid of your fear. This was once written above the Improv Inferno's soundboard. It was in the soundboard, in the sound room where they would put all of the acts before they would go on stage, like a green room, like a holding room. And every time we would look at it and remember that there's nothing to be scared of. There's no reason to be in your head. Everything that we have is all that we need. It was the most important thing that I'd seen in my life at the time when I saw it. Because fear is the one thing that holds everybody back from achieving their greatest achievements. So if you can get rid of your fear, you can do anything. And I know I'm speaking from a dad place right now. But the worst thing that you ever want when you're older is regret. And fear always brings on regret. So if you take all these things and you get rid of your fear and you do improv classes, you find yourself on a stage one day maybe, who knows, it's going to give you so much joy. And it's going to better you in so many more ways than I can even explain. Now, it might not make you famous. I mean, it's a good thought, but, you know, statistics say that you probably won't become famous. But it might put you in the room with some super interesting people. I got lucky enough to graduate the Second City Conservatory program with a gentleman by the name of Fredley Brown, who went on to become the musical director for Bruno Mars. And a woman by the name of Katie Thomas, who's just now wrapping up her 3rd season of Teachers on TV Land. I've also had the immense pleasure of working alongside Sam Richardson, who's on Veep, and Tim Robinson, who was on SNL and Detroiters. I've had the luxury of hanging out with Jamie Moyer over countless drinks and karaoke. She's been on Modern Family and Two Broke Girls. And I have the pleasure of calling PJ Jacobs a friend of mine, who was one of my first instructors at the Second City and now an owner of Go Comedy Improv Theater. He also does Hungry Howie's commercials, hence the tutu and the picture. And this is just a small amount of people who have gone on to do great things. I could name so many more who are still finding success on their own because of improv, either in podcasting or in local theater or in an improv resident cast. The core takeaway is these guys found what they wanted to do and ran with it. They didn't let fear hold them back. And that's what all I'm trying to get to today. If you take away one thing from this, I want you to take away this. It doesn't even have to be in an improv context, just in your life. Find yourself a group of people that challenge and inspire you. Spend a lot of time with them, and it will change your life for the better. It's a quote by Amy Poehler, and it's so true. Find your tribe. Run with your tribe. Have them challenge you. Have them carry you on their shoulders. Have them be your greatest cheerleaders, but watch them change you. Improv did that for me. Improv helped me get here at a time when I didn't think that I could. And I know that it can help elevate a lot of you. Hence this talk today. I hope you took that away. I appreciate all your time. That's all I have for you.